Hey guys, it's that time again to go over what did Doc pick up at the comic shop. So let's try this video out in this new format with the sign behind me and see how you guys like it again. Alright, let's see here. Now, for my pick of the week, I have Everything Dead and Dying, the final issue, number 5. This was written by Tate Bromball with art by Jacob Phillips. And it continues to show pretty much, there's some dark pages here. It continues to show, I can't really show you anything because it's so dark. Jake ends up happy. He loses something very important to him, a character, a lover, a daughter. But in the end, he finds peace and he finds happiness, and he realizes that even though everything is dead and dying in this world, it is worth fighting for, and not giving up is the strongest that you can possibly be. Because a lot of times the world throws things at you that are terrible, and you don't really know how you're going to survive from them and move past them. You lose a spouse, a lover, you move to a different city, you get a different job. You just don't know how you're going to continue. And in this book, it teaches you that even though sometimes you lose that most important thing to you, that you can always come back from that. And you can always find the peace within and the serenity within the storm. So I wish I could show you pages, but it's pretty much just blood and gore the entire issue. But it is such a great finale to a wonderful story that talks about small town USA, zombies, the human condition, life, death, the in-between, and the living. So if you haven't been reading this book, I would wait and pick up the trade, but I guarantee you, if you're looking for something excellent, both in art and writing, you can't beat this book. All right, next up is Amazing Spider-Man, and this is issue number 20. And this book was written by Joe Kelly with art by John Romita Jr. And we also have another couple of artists in here this time around, Paco Diaz and Todd Nauck. And the inkers are Scott Hanna, Paco Diaz, and Todd Nauck. So you have Norman Osborn, Aunt May, Roderick Kingsley, Ben Riley, Miles Morales, and a bunch of the Spiders. And you open to Aunt May trying to find Norman Osborn, and in the middle of it, Norman is trying to fight off these goblin slayers. So not spider slayers, but goblin slayers. So you get to definitely see Romita Jr.'s artwork pop in this book. Because say what you will about him, but he's still a very solid artist, and I think a lot of times he just doesn't. I think when he falters as an artist is not necessarily due to the writer's fault, but it's the fact that he's either up against deadlines or maybe the strength of the story is not there. Because one thing that you can always say about Romita Jr.'s artwork is that it is very, very cinematic. And he brings stories together like movies. He doesn't just show you an image. I mean, even look at the cover. Even the cover, you see all of this action between the Hobgoblin and Spider-Man. So it's amazing, no pun intended, to see the strength of this book. And Joe Kelly does love the character. I'm still not happy about Nick Lowe being the continuing editor on this title, but it looks like we're ramping up towards issue 25 and then beyond that to issue 1000 later this year. So I'm definitely digging what they're doing in ASM right now. All right, next up we have The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue number 129. We are roughly about 3/4 of the way through with this book, and here it's written by Robert Kirkman with art by Charlie Adlard and inks by Stefano Gaudino. And you get to see Negan, who is still alive, but he's imprisoned by Rick. You also get to see Carl, you get to see Rick, and you get to see Carl preparing to go to the hilltop. He wants to go learn a trade, and Rick was against it, vehemently against it to begin with. But now he's kind of come to his senses and realized he's got to let the boy grow and spread his wings and go out there and see what this big wide world is all about. So this story is so magnificent in color, and you get to see the rage in Rick's eyes and in his face. And he says, you know, my son and I were traveling this road and these zombies came out, and where were you? And the guy that was supposed to be guarding the road, he says, I'm sorry, this area should have been clear. And he says, don't apologize, just tell me why your zone wasn't clear. And he said, I just come through here, but I didn't see anything. And so Rick tells him to get off of the horse and proceeds to hit him. And he says, my son and I could have been murdered because you only half-assed did your job. You didn't stand by on guard like you're supposed to. These are our major thoroughfares, our major travel routes. This is how we survive. So he asks in his name, and it's Benjamin from the kingdom. And he says, this will be reported, and if it happens again, you will be reassigned. And he says, this better be your first report. And he says, it is, sir, and it will also be my last. So even at this late stage of The Walking Dead, you still get to see how important family and ties and things like that are to the story. It's a story about the living. It's not a story about the dead as much as it's a story about the living. All right, and next to last one is the next to last current issue of the Power Fantasy. And this is next to the end of game, and we get to see one of them deviling out. We get to see Jackie taking off his, or Magus taking off his mask. You get to see, again, almost the end of the world, so you get to see people being with those that they love, spending those last few moments with the ones that are most important to them. And you get to see the setup for the penultimate issue. I mean, this is the penultimate issue. So you get to see the setup for the end war that is coming in the next issue. I'm going to have to go and sit down and read all of these books individually and try to fit all this together. It's a grand plan that Kieran Gillen and Caspar Wingard have done with this book, but it's a little meta for me sometimes, and so I need to go back and find a way to kind of make more of these pieces click, because right now I feel like I am trying to build a house out of Duplo rather than Legos, and it calls for only Legos, and it calls for 10,000 pieces to build this house. So I feel like I'm a little behind on where the Power Fantasy is, but once issue 16 comes out next month, then I'll be able to sit down and read all of them together and maybe get an idea of what exactly the heck is going on. And in this small week, the last book that I've got is Murder Podcast, issue number 4. And this is written by Jeremy Hahn with art by Mike Tisserand. and colored by Nick Filardi, and it's lettered by And World Design. So you have more characters, including this couple that are driving and they hear the podcast and they go crashing down through this park looking area because both of them heard the podcast at the same time, so they're both murderous and they're trying to kill each other. You get some of the other characters trying to find their place in life. Our friend the policewoman is almost captured by the hooded men who are trying to use these podcasts to create violence and sow retribution. And the artwork is really fun and energetic and exciting, and at the same time it's very grounded in real world. So Murder Podcast just gets better with every issue, and I hope you guys are reading this because Ignition Press started off the year very strong with a bunch of different titles, and I can't wait to see where they go from here with Murder Podcast number 5. So that is it for this week, guys. It was a very small week, but thank you for joining me. What did you guys pick up? Did you get anything that I got in my stack? Or did you have something completely different? Some of the DCKO tie-ins. I'm trying to think what other big thing is moving and shaking at this point. But anyway, in the comments below, let me know what you're reading, what you're loving, what you're hating, what you're dropping, what you're picking up, and everything in between. So thanks for joining me again for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.